right? If you're
Do you even know what Uncle Tom means? Like I'm not saying you don't,
I've
but
never even heard of
do you
Uncle
even
Tom.
know
What's
what
Uncle Tom?
it's an insult for black people.
Why? What's so?
Go ahead,
What's
bloody. You're the one who brought it up, so
well, no, I was just for it, like if black people that look down on other black people that
yeah.
look up to white people, if that makes sense, they call them like Uncle Toms. I don't know why.
It's
I
basically
think
like
I think it's a
boomers,
story,
Jeremiah.
right?
It's basically Uncle Tom was a man who literally went to go set slaves free in the slave trade and then risked his own life and he died in doing so.
So
So
why is
like
Uncle Tom looked as a bad thing?
we'll see that's why people nowadays are stupid because they don't know history. That's why
Dude, that'd be like me calling someone name some famous hero from a war that everyone knows. Chris Kyle.
Napoleon.
Be like,
Yeah.
I'll be like, fuck you, Chris Kyle. You piece of shit. How dare you? It's like, what's wrong with that?
It's just if you
So
don't
what
think the
would
way I think,
be
then
the Mexican version? Is what I was gonna ask.
There isn't
Pancho
one. No, I'm just kidding.
Villa. Pancho Villa. You know who Pancho Villa is?
um,
He's the
no.
basic Mexican Robin Hood. He
That
took from
sounds
the
so
government and gave to
stupid.
the poor people. Hey, except with bow and arrows, he had a sombrero and two
What's
pistols.
that?
It's a hat, you moron. Are the gummies kicking in, fuck boy?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I do happen to
Oh
also be
yeah,
consuming coffee flavored gummies, but
yeah,
that's all
exactly.
they
That's
are. I
what I
don't know
was
what you're getting
referring
at.
to. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was referring to, fuck
Oh,
boy.
oh, right. Yeah.
What,
Okay.
what do you think I'm insinuating,
Well, it's
huh?
just you always imply things because you don't really like say what you mean because you're a weak man.
Jeremiah, we know you're on
Well,
a lot of drugs. It's okay. We
I'm
know
not
about your
though. I'm
problems.
not.
We
yeah. He says
know
I'm the
we
weak
know
man.
about the meth and the cocaine that you do on hookers' asses at 3 a.m. on a
Hey,
Tuesday
hookers are
night.
Never
okay,
on a
but
hooker's ass.
hookers are okay.
I've never done cocaine.
Some of them.
That's the one drug I won't
Stop
do.
lying.
Well, no, actually, there's a lot of drugs I won't do. Um, but like,
Like name what?
well, I mean, not to like imply that I do any drugs,
You
of
done
course.
quite,
No, no, I've never done anything, bro.
Come
I mean, I might have stated before that I have
on, outside.
dropped acid, but like, no, I have literally, bro. Like, you know that there's sulfuric acid inside of this rock star. I was walking outside, bro. Not even gonna
Yeah,
lie, I dropped
moron.
it, and it just acid went everywhere. You know, just like with all the corn syrup and everything. That's what I meant when I said drop
All over the
acid.
place. And
What
all of a
else did
sudden,
you
there's
mean?
just these
You know?
unicorns that are coming out of the bottle.
Okay. Um,
All right, so
but jokes aside, I think that pot's good for people and psychedelics for certain people. If you're mentally unstable in any way, you probably shouldn't mess with either. But
I'm just
if
saying,
you're a healthy
Y'all
adult
know
man,
about psychedelic therapy?
yeah, in general, like drugs are not good, you know? So
I have the theory
No,
that
there's
like
some
things that come
drugs
from the ground
that are good.
are good.
well, like
Yeah,
yeah, I
anything
get
that
what you're
comes
saying.
from
I
the earth.
agree.
Yeah, that's kind of my
Why
take on
else
it.
would it be there?
For medicinal purposes, I guess. Really, you're taking a piss right here on the porch. Really?
Efrain, put your penis away.
My dog.
I know. It's like you were, but it looked like you were talking to your penis. You really right here on the porch? Don't
All
shake your
right,
head at me.
so
Don't shake your head at me,
shut
guy.
up. Shut up. Shut up. So rather than call you Bloody, I guess I'll call you Reese because that's your name.
Wow, good
So
job, Efrain. That was really intelligent move there, man.
anyways, so
Just gonna
I'm
call you by
very
your name.
curious what makes you want to join the police force?
Well,
That's a head
wasn't
scratcher right there.
wasn't really the original plan,
Oh,
but
was it? I was just curious myself.
no, no.
Oh, I see what you're
Really,
saying.
it's like the next tier down to like fulfill that need to like want to serve in some capacity. There's a
You
lot
know,
of things that go
we're
into it.
starting a business up. And if you're looking for a place to serve, we do need free labor. So
I wouldn't say free, but
I'm sorry, I'm being retarded. Okay.
What type of labor are we talking here?
yeah.
The cutting grass kind.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this little fuck boy got all the what is the home associ damn it.
Homeowners Association.
Yeah. What, Kayla?
Not all of them though.
And
I've only got a few in there. But
and the competitors, and I'm gonna map out the rich areas of the city. Because even I'm pretty sure you know where the good and bad side of town is, right? Of Corpus.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So,
there's certain areas, you know, like I
or like
you don't go to
Portland,
Oso,
Morgan.
but
Hey, that's where I was raised. So, like
Oso
kind of,
area,
yeah, that's where I grew up. So I was
I
like,
got stabbed there.
I almost got shot there too. But, it wasn't for me though, but it was for my brother.
oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we were riding bikes, and I thought he was like racing me home. Like we were literally on a long bike ride with my mom and everything. And like I thought he was racing me home because like I wanted to take a shower like bad. And turns out that he was actually, running away from the car that was chasing him, which had rival gang members in there that recognized him. And so
What
maybe it
gangs
was a
are in
good thing.
Corpus?
There is the Bloods and some Crips, Oso Bloods. I don't know if you
Bloods
know
and
that.
Crips. They just rep
Exactly.
their own set. They just make up their own
Exactly. Yeah, no,
fucking.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So
You know?
ridiculous.
I know exactly.
Like the
But
real Bloods and Crips are like, we have people
yeah,
down
that's like
there.
a
Like,
common thing in like, New York.
Can we
But
you think we could start up our own little Bloods gang? Like with just
yeah,
us three?
Jeremiah.
our own set.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we all
Yeah.
like lead our own
Yeah,
crews in our
yeah.
respective areas.
Yeah.
And then we contact the Bloods and just be like, hey, we're
But
home.
we're the new program that
I
the
mean,
Bloods are starting up. We're trying to be like more like build the communities, and get kids involved in the little local shit. Try and make real change.
no, dude, that's not what I'm
That's
talking about
that's
doing.
like that's like when they first started, but then like they got into drugs and making easy money. So
That's what the
you
mobsters
gotta
did.
start. Don't be coughing like a girl if you're gonna be using that. Be a man, Jeremiah.
I don't know what he's talking about.
He just muted himself.
I don't think I should care because this idiot muted himself. Look at this retard. He's so stupid. He just turned his video off now. What an idiot. Oh geez. Okay. Things are about to get pretty interesting here.
I
But
assume you're gonna cut this part out.
no.
Oh,
Damn it! I was
I
on
don't
the phone
care.
with my cousin.
This is oh right. Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah.
What happened?
Nothing. Just continue, man. Continue.
What was I talking about?
You don't remember what you were talking about?
My
It's because you
cousin.
weren't talking
Oh,
about anything.
this
I hate
guy.
you. Look at this fuck boy, guys.
Look at this dog. He
She
just keeps
won't leave
poking
me
his. She keeps poking her face in.
because like she wants attention, and like I keep pushing her away, but she keeps coming more.
So but yeah, police officer gig. That's pretty cool. All right. So what do you guys think about us being in a matrix and all that stuff that is just rampant all over the internet right now?
Sent
Jeremiah.
this video to a couple of my buddies. Well, Alfredo and Pizza.
What
Dre.
video? This one? You're gonna send it to them?
No.
The
It was
girl.
about some dude ranting about how the NBA is a glitch in the Matrix because all the players do everything in sync, right? Like,
What do you
well,
mean?
that like there's a lot of like random shit that they do like in sync, like hand gestures or the like the camera will show the court and like two of these players are doing like they'll turn at the exact same time, turn back, like
I've seen that on YouTube. I really haven't. I know what you're talking about. But like to me, that's just like being so like in depth in your craft, like that's just you having muscle memory due to this damn ball that you're chasing.
right.
Like that's just my opinion at
But
least.
it's like it's weird shit like drinking water. Like at the exact same time in the exact same pose
Well,
or
have you
like
ever heard of the what's it called? MK Ultra or MK12? Have you
sounds
ever heard of
familiar.
that? It's basically a mind control device by the government. Basically,
Oh,
celebrities and athletes, have been like controlled since they've been like young. And like say what's her name? She was in War of the Worlds, Dakota Fanning, that chick. So like
I used to have
and
a
like
crush on her.
exactly. And Shia LaBeouf, that guy, he came all messed up. Not including like Hollywood being a bunch of pedophiles.
there's a lot of them.
That's another conversation, but at the same time, it's all in tandem with each other when it's just all a facade, basically.
I was thinking about it, right? And obviously, as both of you know, I've been listening to a pretty ridiculous amount of Andrew Tate lately.
I'm watching Andrew
But
Tate right now.
while we're on the podcast, you're watching Andrew Tate.
Well, I have it going off in the background.
You don't think you could just like pause it?
Well, I'm not. I can't even hear it
Then what's the point of playing it?
because I like the background.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Do you have to like question like what I do, or like are we just gonna like move
I'm
on from
sorry,
this?
man. I'm not sorry.
Efrain
I'm
can't
not
have his own
sorry.
life.
Right, right. You got to tell me what to do and how to do it. Okay, thank you, boss. Will do. I want that paycheck.
I was just trying to get a rise out of you. Anyways,
Work now.
but anyways, I'm trying to snap back to being serious. But Andrew Tate, so he talks about the importance of money, and it makes a lot of sense. I was actually listening to an hour-long cigar session thing that Tristan Tate does, where basically he just sits down and he smokes this cigar for like an hour and then just spits wisdom and responds to random questions and stuff. This dude was talking about cancer, that he was saying, a lot of people in Europe have universal health care and they think it's the greatest thing ever. I don't think he was saying that it's wrong for you to, or I don't think he was saying that the system is bad. But what he was trying to point to was that if you think that like you're good because you have universal health care, you're crazy. Because that's actually the most basic level of healthcare. If you're rich, you have access to better, right? So to kind of copy his analogy, and to explain it the same way he did, let's take a cancer patient, for example. A cancer patient that, and I didn't fact check him. I'm not saying that all of this is true. This is just what I heard, and I thought it was interesting, especially if it is true. But he was saying that a cancer patient that comes and goes to the doctor, like say one of us Rokies, as they put it, goes to the doctor because we get cancer. There's a few different types of chemo that the government can afford. And sorry, not us, but like British people or German people or an Italian man or someone that has universal health care. He said that if you go, to the doctor and you think you're good and that they're going to take care of your cancer, you're wrong. I mean, they might, and you might get lucky, but they're just going to put you through one of the three forms of chemo. He said, now let me explain to you what a very, very rich man will do if he gets cancer. He will go to Switzerland. He will find a doctor or Dubai or anywhere where these doctors do this treatment. and they will take a piece of his tumor, and then they'll go to a separate lab, and they will grow this tumor. They'll grow it, and then they'll take the, I'm sure there's a more complicated term for it, but basically just cut it up into enough pieces to try all the different forms of chemotherapy out. So, just for the sake of an example, let's say that there's 100 forms of chemo. All pieces of this tumor will be treated with different forms of chemo. Whichever sample is, they study each sample and the effects that each chemo has on that sample of your tumor. And whichever one kills it the most effectively will then be the type of chemo that they use to treat you. That'll expedite the process. You won't have to go for an unnecessary amount of time. They will pick the most effective chemo that, it'll still suck. It's not going to be the greatest. And there is a chance that it doesn't work, but your chances of survival are far, far, far higher if you have the money for such a treatment than if you just have universal healthcare, or maybe a healthcare system like us that would only give us access to those most basic forms of chemo. So that's pretty interesting. And then I was thinking about today with me, right? Like, we're talking all this business and stuff, and like how we can build this business that we're talking about doing, the lawn mowing company. And I was like, so what happens like when I actually start getting money? And let's say, I don't know, I get in trouble or I do something illegal, right? Could be anything really. And, say, okay, for example, let's say, I don't know, sister, 10 years down the road, sister calls me, says her husband hit her. I go over there and I break the guy's jaw, break 3 of his ribs, drag him out into the street and leave him. He goes on, whatever, decides he wants to press charges or sue me. And then I come up to him and I say, hey, listen, you can do this, or I'll just give you $100,000. What do you think he's going to do? So then it kind of like, it doesn't make you immune from the law, because if they could press charges, but when you have money, who doesn't want a bunch of money? So the guy's probably going to just take the money instead of pressing charges, unless he's a very principled person, which is possible. But basically having money puts you in a much more powerful position. It gives you the opportunity to do more about your situation than you otherwise couldn't. But then they say things like money can't buy happiness, and things like that to kind of, I feel like, push people away from getting money.
Just hear Andrew Tate in my head.
Well, it's because these ideas came from them. It's not like I came up with this.
Exactly.
I just thought it was really interesting, this idea. And I don't know if it's true, like all the data. I'm sure he wouldn't just go spout it off on a podcast if he hadn't already seen like a credible source or something. He wouldn't want to make a fool of himself. But, they make some very, very good points, I guess is what I'm saying about money.
Well, when you have a fuck ton of it, you learn to get smart.
Yeah, but it's things that we don't even really think about. Like with me and Efrain, we're now looking at this business. We're figuring everything out, like all the basic stuff, like how to create an LLC. Like, how do you do that? Oh, we can't use a normal bank account. We have to use a business bank account. What's required for a business bank account? Okay, so like what makes people buy stuff? Okay, so marketing is actually a good thing to invest in. So we need to dump some money into marketing. What else can we use? What are some principles that work? Oh, well, we talked to this business guy, and he says that if you reduce the overhead by as much as you can, and you just try to generate profit, but you got to keep the overhead low and not try to save up and buy a bunch of stuff. You just start with the minimum, which is what we're doing. Then it might work. You start looking at websites. You start thinking about, okay, how am I going to get more business? Okay, pretty easy. I need to ally with an irrigation company, and I need to ally with a company that sprays lawns with fertilizers and fungicides and things like that. Take some of their business cards, give them some of mine, and like, hey man, just anytime you run into someone that needs their grass cut, give them my card. And anytime I run into someone that needs their grass sprayed, I'll give them your card, and then we're working for each other. We're bringing each other business, helping each other out. But it's like all these different ideas and tools that you learn. They're not teaching that in school. And I brought this up to my ex-girlfriend from Italy, and, she's like, yeah, but school isn't about making money. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it should be part of it, especially as important it is. Like, I'm not saying that the whole school should be about hustling, I'm not saying you should go to Hustlers University and only learn hustling, but maybe there should be some hustling classes, you know?
Well, see, what my mom told me when she was in school is that they did have like money classes where they would teach you about money. They would teach you about, filing tax return. And then she said, they just stopped doing it. Like, I don't understand why. See, like, and then that just goes back to the Matrix, man, like you were saying in the beginning. Like, see, they want to keep you in this fucking habit that, you need to be told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Basically saying, how high, boss? And, rather than rather than being your own master, most people, this is the ratio or the percentage. 80% of people like being told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And 20% of the other people are the people that, tell them what to do. So, like, I want to be that 20%, man, because I'm tired of like working for someone else and their dream, rather
Mm-hmm.
than working for my own dream. And like, so, like, I just hang out with these like very wealthy people, and I can see their habits. I see what they do. I see what they don't do. Like, but they're human at the end of the day, but it's just something I never experienced, nor and I was enlightened by the experience because these people just teach you, and if you just watch them and you learn from them. So like, and that's why I want to like create my own business, so I can do what I want to do and have, money while I'm not working, but at the same time I'm making money. That like I think that's I believe everybody who should strive to be, because if everybody was like that, dude, like America would be like OP.
Well,
Like
it's interesting,
it's
man.
OP now, but
Yeah, because you look at other people that you care about and you love, and they're not even thinking like this. They're content to work some dead end job or whatever. But if you think about it, if you're willing to apply yourself and push yourself through the headaches and stress and of all that of figuring out how to run a business, and we're successful in this endeavor and we can do it multiple times and keep making businesses, then eventually you're going to have a lot of money, and you're going to have money that you can use to improve the people around or improve everyone's situation that's around you. You can easily, like, hey, so what's going, oh, you're not going to the gym because you don't have enough money for a gym membership? Dude, fuck that. Here, I'll buy you a gym. Like, I'm not saying buy them a gym, but what I am saying is like you can use your money for good, and then if you're the business owner, you don't have to be like the douchebags that you've worked for in the past that only cared about number one. I'm not saying don't care about number one. Definitely do. You're the one that took, you know, all the effort to go through all the stresses of learning how to manage and run a business, but you can make sure that you're very fair to people, and you're not taking advantage. And yeah, because most people aren't going to want to push themselves through all that. They're going to be happy to be an employee. And so there's nothing wrong with that either, because you do need people to actually just do the work, you know? So I think you can ethically run a business and be the guy that's making all the money if you're fair and you're trying to help people around you. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of money.
yeah, it's always good to have money.
Yeah.
So, what about you, buddy? No business, no nothing like that, no investments.
I don't know fuck all about it.
Well, I know what you do know about. Bloody, how much do you, or excuse me, Reese, how much do you bench? Like not
Good
your one rep,
question.
but like what do you rep out? whenever you're doing like a 5x5, for example. That's what I mean, like your 5 rep
Um,
max. I don't ever do 1 rep really.
right now it's like 135, 140.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
since surgery.
Sure, why?
What? What? No, I just was
Yeah.
acknowledging his response.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
the
much do you
surgery
deadlift?
two
Oh, oh,
60,
two,
250,
two. Okay.
probably.
All right. Well, I mean, that's very interesting, Reese. Um,
Yeah. I lost a lot of muscle.
no, I'm messing with you, but okay. So here's a study that I read. I read that you actually can't use more than zero point 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So, the general rule of thumb at the gym, whenever you're talking to gym rats and stuff, it's like, yeah, bro, how much you weigh? Yeah, like 200 pounds. Okay, you should be eating 200 grams of protein. And while I heard that it's not harmful to eat an excess amount of protein, your body can actually only use zero point 0.7 at maximum per pound of body weight. Do you know anything about that?
I've never heard of that. Um, More or less like your body should be able to process it. But you're even of that point 0.7, I wouldn't think even that's even processed because we don't get enough or the right lipids in our system to actually gain the nutrients from that. So most of it just ends up being shit anyways. And like the average American is constipated. Y'all are probably constipated
I'm
and you
not
don't even realize it. But you just have shit sitting in your gut, sitting there. And that's why a lot of like fat burners and dietary supplements make you shit because you lose a lot of fat that way.
Yeah.
I don't know
I've
that.
noticed a lot of the diet pills,
So how do I
and those don't
clean that
seem
shit
very
out?
good.
Huh?
How do I clean the shit that's just sitting there? What? Just
Um, you clean your gut by eating the right food, like foods that are
no,
not
because
packed with
I actually want
preservatives
to know this.
and
Like I
other
actually want to
chemicals.
know
Don't
this.
eat fast food, try like and the whole thing with like organic or not organic, like if it doesn't say organic, or if it does, there's no scientific like proven data that organic food is better for you than non-organic. But buying fresh produce, right? Actually cooking your meals, not just buying frozen crap or um, stuff that's in a box, packaged up in the middle of the food aisle. And that's another thing. Try and buy food on the ends of food aisles. The more towards the middle you get is the worst shit or
Really?
the best shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that like with potatoes and rice and like breads and basically carbs and stuff, puts it holds a lot of weight inside of you. If you were to go for a carb-free diet, like meats and veggies or just meat or something like that, then you actually drop a ton of weight rapidly initially, but then eventually your body gets used to the new food and it sheds a lot of that water weight that it's carrying that's extra. Like I don't know if you've ever tried a carb-free diet, but you'll lose 7 pounds in a week. It'll start to slow down because it's mostly water weight. But I guess your body uses carbs to hold on to the water weight. Not
Water weight.
sure.
Your body uses carbs to produce energy. So the problem with the keto diet, um, is that you lose a lot of muscle, right? Because you deprive your body of that essential fuel source to keep going. So your brain feeds on the muscle where the protein is. And then you lose a lot more muscle, which makes you lose a lot more weight, right? Not fat.
Well,
On the
I think
scale, it looks
actually with
great, but
yeah, but I think with keto though, the idea is that you're switching to using fat for energy. So you're actually not using carbs for energy. They call it the adaptation phase, where your body's switching from using what it's always used its entire time of existing, which is carbohydrates for a fuel, to using fat for fuel. But the problem, because everything else I believe is true, but the reason why you lose the weight, or I'm sorry, the reason why you lose the muscle is because in the keto diet, you're not allowed more than a certain amount of protein. Otherwise, it throws you out of ketosis.
right.
So you're not, I don't know how much is allowed,
Toast.
but I would assume, because I am assuming that you're probably not getting enough protein, which is why you're losing the weight, not necessarily because you're not eating the carbohydrates. But I'm not a
It's
doctor,
over
neither.
over time. Like if you were to do it, people that normally do keto usually do it for like 6 weeks to like 6 months at max. It's not
Oh, really?
sustainable. Yeah, you don't
Oh,
want to do it for a super long time.
I didn't know that.
I mean, you can, I guess, like if you really wanted to, but at least when I was training people at the athletic club, all the people that told me that they had keto, like the longest I heard was 6 months, and it put them in the hospital. They had I forgot they were deprived of some type of mineral that they weren't getting from certain proteins, like meat, for example. Um, and yeah, I
Sorry,
think
yeah.
it was either potassium or iron. I can't remember which one it was, or it was some mineral like that. But
It's complicated, man. Like there's a knowing all the, because like even if it seems like it's good, you find out years later that they develop some crazy dysfunction in their body, whatever it might be, because they did that diet.
Function.
gout,
I've heard that a
gout's a
lot
big
with the
one
carnivore.
because black beans is like a really popular food with keto.
Oh,
I've seen it in a lot of keto
I
recipes
think
using
my
black because that's
mom,
like their source of protein is through
my
beans.
mom did keto and
Or
she
sorry,
got
that's
gout.
vegetarians.
my mom did keto as
Vegetarians.
well, Efrain.
Oh, wow.
I tried vegan for a little bit, um, just because everyone I worked with was vegan and drowning me with the propaganda. And I thought I'd give it a whirl. And the only thing I figured out was that I really like the vegetable meat at Subway. But aside from that, there's nothing good about being a vegan. It's horrible.
Hear about the test. Um, they tested the Subway's tuna and there was no tuna in it.
Oh my gosh, that's what you don't want to hear.
It's
Or
like the only thing that they could identify was cod.
Out of the tuna, the only thing they could
Yeah,
identify was cod.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. What do you think about okay, so I was talking about gout being associated with carnivore. I think I got the names mixed up. There's something with carnivore that everyone used to think that you would get if you did a carnivore diet for a while, if you ate too much meat and nothing else. I can't remember what it was.
Maybe kidney stones.
No, I mean they may say that, but I'm thinking of like it's like a disease, I guess you develop. But anyways,
Oh,
I'm
I know
really
what
kind of
you're
a fan
talking
of
about. I
carnivore.
I don't remember the name of it though.
Yeah. I'm a fan of carnivore because I did it for a month as well, actually. I did the vegan diet and then I did a carnivore diet. But the carnivore diet, I've never felt better than when I was on the carnivore diet. I don't know if it's
As a man, that
simply,
makes sense.
well, yeah, I guess. Um, but I think it was just the reduction in carbs because I felt the same with meats and greens or things like that. So I think it actually just might be the fact that you're not eating carbs. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Dr. Sean Baker. He's a big carnivore guy, and he gives all these scientific explanations as to why you don't need like vegetables. You do get a lot of your vitamins from meat too.
vegetables.
like meat actually has vitamins in it. I didn't realize that before I started following this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And minerals. Not
I actually had to mute my mic just as you made that really dumb joke, because my little sibling's coming down the stairs right now. So continue on with Efrain.
What?
about meat. You like meat?
Y'all suck, man.
I like meat. I like steak. I'll eat anything that's like, grilled. Nothing fried. It's just gross. You just feel sick and
Yeah, don't eat
gross.
fried
And
shit. Try and
Buddy,
stay away from that.
you're actually my first guest that I didn't do a one-on-one with before bringing you into a group podcast. So congratulations, sir. You're the first.
congrats.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Normally I try to like do a one-on-one because I was thinking like it because like for example, say me and Efrain get lost in conversation or whatever. You don't really give the person that's in the call a chance to get used to speaking up and being on the podcast and everything. And it might be easier for them to just kind of fall in the background. So I thought like if I do a one-on-one with every single person first, it gives them a chance to kind of get like comfortable with talking and being on the podcast and everything. And then when we do a group, they're not going to be like afraid to speak up. I'm not saying that like you are. I'm just curious though, what you guys think. You think that's a
I'm
good
naturally a quiet dude.
well, yeah, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying like in general though. You think that's a good policy or because I like
Yeah,
these
we
group
should do a
podcasts.
one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell you my life story. All the boring shit.
How your life got flipped, turned upside down.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
happened a couple times now.
Yeah, it's kind of um like you're in a like a hallway with doors just running on either end. And you're like they're all open, but you run up to them and then it just slams in your face. So you run to the next one, and it just like run to the
Yeah,
next one, and you just keep going until one of them works. And sometimes the door leads you to another hallway.
with more doors.
Yeah.
And they're all open and then they all close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now I'm kind of going through another hallway, but
Well, I mean,
figure it out.
for me, a difficult part for me was when I got out of the army, and I wouldn't say that like I was like I definitely wasn't a good soldier, and I wasn't like the happiest dude, to be in the army. Like I wasn't exactly happy to be in the army. I'm glad I did it, but I'm also glad it's over. If that makes sense. It really wasn't for me. I mean, it was like I got a lot out of it, but I don't. It's definitely not something for me long term. I guess is what I'm saying. Um. Anyways, regardless of how much you may like or dislike the army, you get used to that way of life. Having to be somewhere at a certain time, like all that structure. Your room always has to be pristine because it gets inspected. Um. I mean, just like all these different things that you get used to doing on a regular basis. Plus, you get used to being in Italy. And then you you get a girlfriend there, and then finally it comes time for you to obtain your coveted DD-214. You get it and you leave, and within 24 hours you no longer have that structure. You're in a completely different time zone, different country. I mean, yeah, it's America, it's where you grew up, but like you lived in a different one for 3 years or something. Some people extend or re-enlist and stay for 5. um, so you're used to a different country, you're used to a different way of life, and then now you're going through a breakup with someone that you loved. And it wasn't even because anything was going bad in the relationship. Things were actually going pretty good in the relationship, so it was like even harder to end it. But We just decided because our lives were, mine's in America, hers is in Italy. We just had to make the hard decision. But what got me through it, and I mean, it still sucked. There's nothing you can do to avoid the suck. But like, what got me through it was forcing myself to live life, like go to the gym, focus on signing up for college, get a job. A job's good because, like, yeah, we were just talking about owning businesses and not just being some employee. But what a job does do is it gives you structure. It gives you a place to be at a certain time every
Yeah.
day, consistency. Yeah. And that's good for a human because we naturally like routine. That's how
Pattern.
that's how we are. So for me, that's what really helped me was just having a structure, working out. Working out's always good because, like, after the workout, you still feel good, but eventually all the voices come back. But the workout gives you a break. You feel good for a little bit, and eventually over time you heal, and I think you got to deal with it. I don't think it's a good idea to distract yourself. I'm not saying distract yourself, but the way I put it is deal with it in doses. If you just sit down and stare at the problem for ever until it's done, you're never going to get rid of the problem because you're going to be so obsessed it's going to make it bigger and bigger. But like, if you just deal with it in chunks, eventually you get through it. And I think you actually get through it faster if you force yourself to live life. You have that structure, you keep going, and then the sooner you can begin to accept your new reality, the quicker you'll be over whatever it is that happened, regardless of whether it was a relationship or you got fired from a job you really cared about. I don't know, whatever it might be. I think that's just how we deal with trauma in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't
And it
say
is
that if you're
traumatic.
in the army.
What?
You wouldn't say that if you're in the army.
Yeah, man, I was kind of in a darker place in the army. Just because, I mean, one, there was a lot more alcohol in my life. And then two, I mean, man, when you're just miserable all the time, you don't exactly have, I don't know it doesn't really, I didn't really have as much time to think and work through things, as I do
Because
now.
like that's like one thing I always wanted to do. And I guess I just never did it.
The army.
But yeah. And like, since you like tell me your experience, it's like I'm like glad I didn't join the army.
Yeah, but I will say though, with those experiences, I really think those were pretty fundamental in my life. I mean, not, I had other
Well, do
experiences,
you
and if I
think
never
it's worth
joined,
killing yourself over like some people do?
no, but that's the thing though. We all go through the same stuff, but some people handle it differently. So to me, that's why it's always hard to recommend the military to some people, because for me, looking back, knowing how I'm wired and then knowing how the military is, I'm actually kind of surprised like I didn't get kicked out or, something like that, you know. But that's because I understood the game, that the NCOs would be playing, like, we're gonna haze this guy, we're gonna blah blah blah. And I understood the process and like what it was actually happening. I wasn't like too inserted in it. Like I understood the big picture of it. So, I was able to kind of cope with it somehow in a way where it eventually benefited me. I'm not necessarily proud of my service. I think I probably half-assed it. I definitely half-assed it. Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe not in the beginning, but then like I started to kind of I guess like I always had this idea of what the military was, and then after joining, I realized it wasn't necessarily that. I mean, I think the principles are supposed to be kind of what we all think the army is, but the people, and there's some really good people. I don't mean to say that. Like I had some outstanding leaders, but some being the key word. The majority was not outstanding. The majority was complete turds that seemed to have stayed in because they had no other options. That's what it seemed like, So I don't know. It's hard to recommend to people because, like, yeah, it could be very good for you, or you could be like my friend who committed suicide. So
Yeah.
it's tough. My little brother's going through it right now. I don't want to get into what's going on with him, but he's having some not he's like on the verge of suicide. I'm not saying he's having mental issues, but he's having issues with his being in the military and having people scream at you and treat you like a dog and like all that stuff all the time. That's the problem, is it's all the time, and it just wears on you.
Is that like how you felt?
Like a dog?
Yeah.
A little bit, honestly. Yeah, I felt like a second class citizen for sure. I mean, every low ranking member does. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's important to, I think the military was kind of
Well,
the
it's
culture.
a bad thing if they commit suicide.
Of course, yeah. But I think that the military gets that way, or got that way originally, the culture, because we had a different type of person going into the Army, right? So a lot of times you had cocky, tough, retard 18-year-olds coming in that were all kind of wired that way. And then so when they get to the unit, it's important to beat them down, and basically humble them so that you could teach them. So I think that was probably important then. Nowadays, we do have a lot of retards. Don't get me wrong. We're all idiots. But there's a mental toughness issue. There's a lot of people that, like, while I may have fell out of runs or stuff before because I was a fat turd, I didn't ever think about killing myself. I wasn't like ready to go slit my throat over it. You could scream at me all day and I just don't take it personal. I just let it kind of bounce off. And I might get annoyed with you later, like while I'm drinking with my buddies and we're, bitching about work, but I'm not like over there sitting in my room, like in the fetal position, rocking like I'm not that destroyed about it. I might hate it. I might be pissed, right? Like really
Private
pissed.
pile holding the Mark 14.
Me and Dre were actually talking about how that movie could have played out in all the different branches.
Right.
Like if it was an Air Force basic and they had a private pile and he was about to blast himself. Private pile. Yeah, you put that weapon away right now, young man. But anyways, back to it. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's similar to everything in life. It's not unique to the military. Life applies a lot of pressure. It overwhelms you, and I think the military does it more rapidly, so it's more obvious. But some people cope with it poorly and suffer mental damage, and hopefully they don't kill themselves, but it may lead to mental problems, if they allow themselves to be damaged by it. But if you can, consciously make yourself stay positive, because I don't think you can stay positive if you're not conscious about it. But if you can consciously I'm not even saying stay positive. I'm not saying be that chipper, positive mindset guy, but just having like a good attitude. Like if you could force yourself to have a good attitude, and I honestly, I couldn't. The right attitude for me would have been, like let's say, like I use running as an example because I was always good in the gym, like with lifting heavy things, but running was my weakness. So, like Kibbo, hurry up, hurry the fuck up, and like I'm not keeping up, right? Because I might have some 150-pound squad leader that wants to run a 6-minute pace, and then like, it's bad that I can't keep a 6-minute pace, but it's okay that when he's in the gym he can't squat 100 pounds. I mean, who's really the shitty soldier? Anyways, but the right attitude would have been, hey man, you need to get better at running. And I mean, I tried, I did things, but like, I should have probably taken it more seriously. That would have been the right attitude.
Yeah, and not at the end when you're leaving.
Yeah, once I was deciding I was getting out, I was just kind of like, someone would yell at me, I'd be like, okay. Roger. Like, I mean, what do you want from me? Like, piss off. You're gonna talk to me like a dog. I'm not gonna do what you want me to do. But the right attitude would have been, no, you're getting yelled at because you're slow and you need to get faster. That would have been the right attitude. But I just didn't have that at the time. I'm trying to do that now, but so returning back to my original point, if anyone's ever listening and you're thinking about the military, you're just not sure if it's for you. It's hard, just as it's hard to recommend it, it's hard not to, because it was beneficial for me and I've got experiences I wouldn't have had otherwise. But if you're really not sure about it, I'd say it's probably best to stay away. You probably should only join if you're 100% certain about it and you realize that it's not what has been advertised to you through movies and through what the recruiter says. And people, not everyone in the military is an honorable, moral person. They're humans, so there's going to be a spectrum, and some people are going to be turds, some people are going to be great. And the only problem is, like, you might say, yeah, well, that'll be anywhere in life, but the problem is that if you get a turd that's in charge of you, he's not just in charge of you at work, and you can't quit. He's in charge of you at home. He's in charge of you out in the field when you're spending the night in another country in the woods. This guy controls your life. This turd controls your life. If you're out pulling security and he doesn't want to pitch in and he makes you guys work more and sleep less because he doesn't feel like pulling security, suck it up, buttercup. So like, if you're okay with things being outside of your control, not having any freedom whatsoever over your life, then I'd say, okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's a bad gig. It's an honorable gig. You should respect that job because it is a service and we do need it. But you should also understand
better leaders.
Yeah, and you need to understand yourself. You need to understand yourself and understand if you can cope with that, or if you're going to be the guy that gets really depressed and not try. Because at that point, you're just wasting everyone's time. And then you might even waste your own life. So, like, if you can't cope with that, stay out. But if you can and you really want it, go for it. Because I have seen some pretty mentally tough people with good attitudes that do just fine in the military. So, anyways, that's my TED Talk.
Well, this has been interesting. But I gotta take a test early in the morning. So I should probably head to bed. But I
How long have we
appreciate
been going? Do you know?
an hour.
Oh, okay. So it's just an hour. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Reese. And
I appreciate you boys for inviting me on.
it was fun. I had a good
Definitely have a
time.
one-on-one.
Yeah. I think that would be good. And just let me know when you're free.
And I always thought you were a Spartan, the Ranger. I always got y'all both mixed up.
Not this guy.
Okay.
Maybe when Spartan gets out, I can I don't know. That's a pretty private guy. He may not want to have anything to do with a podcast.
He would, but he wouldn't want his camera on.
He'd want his camera off and he'd want me to do the robot voice for him.
This is the type of guy that his baby pictures, his face is blurred. All right.
What the fuck?
He has the black streak across his eyes.
That's funny, dude.
With the face blurred, with that as well.
You just see the little
Are you for
pacifier
real?
in his hand.
Yeah.
All
right, dudes.
All right, have a good one.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good
Efrain, I'm
time.
gonna keep you on.
All right, fuck boy.
So Efrain,
What's up?
I was thinking we could probably talk a little bit about business since we're business partners.
Sure.
So I mean, where do we even start?
Hold on, my fucking eyes itching.
If you're interested in learning how to become rich and wealthy, continue listening to this podcast. Well, we both talk about businesses that we haven't actually started up yet.
Sound like that guy from the movies.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I'm pretty excited about it though. The biggest problem with me is going to be it's going to be hard to be an equal partner from a distance. I mean, I could do the
about?
well, like I won't actually be able to do the work. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
you're like I would say the headquarters of everything. You know?
yeah, I agree, but so I think the way to make it fair though is like we're both 50-50 owners, but if you're doing the work, you get paid a wage, you know? So like just like one of the other employees, you kind of list yourself $20 an hour or $20 a job or whatever we decide, you know?
See, cause I was talking to Squirt earlier, and he was telling me he was telling me because I asked him, I know you work and everything, man, but like, do you own the company or like does or he was like, no, I don't own it. Well, I own it, but I own 33% of it. And he's uh hold on, let me just he said that he's 33% owner of the company and that four people own it, including himself. And I asked, is there any like contracts involved? He's like, no, it's just it's just you know people who have honor, and it's
Yeah.
cool, and we all trust each other, and it's just at the end of the year we divide up all the what is it, annual gross income, and then whatever is left over they just take and divide up between the four of them.
That's pretty
So
sweet.
yeah, dude, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I really subscribe to I'd say a lot of the ideas that Tate's pushing out right now. Like another one he had mentioned was, you know, for example, like if you're walking down the streets and there's trouble, you want your boys with you, right? To help you fight. He's like, well, it's the same in business, like same in getting rich. Like, if you're trying to get rich, it's better to have your boys with you, like a team. He's like, and the biggest problem is, people want to stab you in the back. Everyone's trying to look out for them. And so, you know, but if you can get 20 people that you genuinely trust, like implicitly, that would make a pretty awesome team to help each other get rich. And so he's like, so, thinking about that, you, why would you not use your blood? Why would you not use people that are related to you by blood and that you grew up with and that you trust? Like, why would you not work with them inside of your business? And I really agree with that. Oh man, no, I
Like
lost the point.
this is how I see it. Like you never eat with someone that you haven't starved with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
know?
but okay, I remember the point though, and I do understand what you're saying. Like the best times are always better when you've had the worst times. But so you need people you can trust. But then the problem is, how do we get people that are on our level? How do we get people that are gonna also be a heavy hitter and go as hard as they can and try to win, right?
Yeah.
um that's the thing with a lot of the stuff. But he's like, yeah, you need people you trust, and then just do a handshake, like, hey, let's not screw each other over, and let's try to get rich. And that's how you get started. And I was like, that's what led to me wanting to talk to you about this, because like, why don't
Like
we pull our money together? We known each other for over 10 years. Like,
see, this is what Squirt was telling me. He was all, you know what, man? I was like, because I asked him like, how's your day? Like, how's your normal weekday? And dude, it's just like makes me think, because like, all right, he was telling me, well, basically, I wake up, go to the gym, I go to jujitsu, and then if I need to go to work, I go to work, and I'm not really doing much, and then I go home. so, So he was like, I really don't do much. I have more free time than I have work time. So it's like, dude, that's what I want, dude. Like
That's
that
kind of
right
my
there.
life, honestly, right
Dude,
now.
dude.
But it's just because I don't have bills. I don't pay rent. I'm living at home, about to go into college.
There's nothing
But
wrong with it, man.
but that's the thing though, dude. If this business takes off, it's like I'm about to drop out of college again, dude. Like I'm not gonna stay in college if this stuff's popping and I'm actually successful outside of college.
All right, well, we'll do this because I'm not saying I know everything, and I know I don't. Hold on. Let me just put this up and I go inside. Move your ass. Move. Um, so my manager at Cracker Barrel was telling me that uh that college is like a scam, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, like we need like colleges and universities for like lawyers, doctors, and like shit like that you actually need to go to school for. But he was saying like everything that he got that job that he went to school for, and then he was like in debt for like another 15 to 20 years. And when the government has you in debt, you're basically like a slave. Like debt is like chains if you want to actually like see it that way, because that's how I see it, to tell you the truth.
Well, I
So,
get I get free college. That's like the only reason I'm really
well,
going for
no,
it.
take advantage of it, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and like I've told you before, I'm only going to college because I feel like I'm too old to not have some kind of marketable skill set. Like I want, a certificate or something that I can like go and do work with. But that's like a backup if my creative pursuits don't work out. Like if this podcast never generates any revenue ever, then like okay. And then if the comedian stuff never works out, then whatever. And then if our business doesn't work out, then whatever. Because then I can at least fall back to that programming certificate I got, and I can go, you know, work a job if I have to, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, if I do start getting successful, it just seems like a waste of time. Like yeah, I don't have to pay for it, but like, why am I going to go focus on programming for 8 hours a day when I could be focusing on more businesses if I, seem to be doing good with it, right? And
Yeah.
I can always go back. So, or at least for 9 years, I think once you get out, you can use your GI Bill. So, I mean, I've got 9 years if I need to go back.
I don't know. It's just seems more money and time wasted. Not saying that you can't learn anything, but at the same time, like people build like Fortune 5, or is it Fortune 500, companies, and like, dude, they don't go to college. Like,
Yeah.
like some of them at least. Like, don't get me wrong,
You know what I
but
think it is? They have all these like in like these, they used to have like factory jobs and like things like that for people, like the average citizen.
yeah,
And then, the thing is, you're not going to have a lot of geniuses in society, or you're not going to have a lot of free thinkers or whatever, but you will probably have a lot of smart people that maybe just don't see the game and everything, or maybe do, and they're willing to accept just a higher place in society as long as, they benefit too. And so they're like, okay, well, if you're smart, but maybe not like you didn't figure it out with business, then hey, just come to this college, get a degree, go back to another factory job or whatever it is. But this time you get to be the manager because you did a good job and you went to college and you got a degree. It's a good job. There's your golden star, and then, but you're still plugged into the matrix, as Tate would call it, or the system that's used to regulate a society, which I mean, the system is necessary. The matrix
well,
is needed.
well,
You can't have
well,
everyone run their own business, right?
well. See, technically, like when you have your own business, you can be like Donald Trump. Like, if in my opinion at least. Like someone who goes against the flow.
Yeah.
And like when that happens, you know, the whole system tries to take you down and discredit you like they did with Andrew Tate, you know? So like
But ask yourself this though, Efrain. If you had $300+ million, you got to be a very courageous, principled man with a lot of morals if you're going to be willing to risk all of that just to tell people the truth.
well see like you know like that you get to a point, not saying you're not untouchable, but you have an opinion, like because you have so much money gives you an opinion. Like see it,
You mean like your opinion matters?
yeah, exactly. Like people hear it, people listen to it. You change people's minds, and you literally like mold them into, you know, the men that how men should be. You know, like I say, you know, protect and provide, and I know some people may disagree with that or something, but darn it, just had a brain fart.
You were talking about, I think you were getting at what it means to be a man.
Well, yeah, see, there you go, and see that's what kind of Andrew Tate kind of like shows to society, like not saying like don't get me wrong, like he has views that are kind of like outlandish and I kind of disagree with, but at the same time like it's kind of true that women have double standards, but if men have them they're like bad and wrong. But even if they have a preference, you know, it's still like you're just a piece of shit, in my opinion. You know, people may disagree. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there definitely are some double standards, it seems. And, that doesn't just apply to gender, that applies to race. Like, if I were to say something, then I would be nailed to a cross. But if, say, a black person or, like you, a Mexican person or whatever were to say it, then they would, people wouldn't be as pissed, right? Like, for example, let me try to think here. All right. Okay, you know that Key and Peele video, the one about black Republicans?
mm, I probably have to see it again.
Well, it's it's basically all these black guys in a room, and every time a black guy goes up and talks, everyone goes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they all go up there and they say the same thing. Basically, like the first guy goes up there and he goes. Now, and when he comes up, they like shake the guy's hands emphatically, and everyone's clapping. They're like, and then they all stop at the same time. It's funny. And the guy will go up there, shake hands. Now I'm pissed. And everyone goes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Royally pissed. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. People think that a black man cannot be a Republican. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I'm here to tell you today that is very much not the case. I am a black man. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I also happen to be a Republican. Mm-hmm. It's just hilarious. And then like basically that guy comes off, everyone does the whole clapping thing, hands down. And another guy comes up and does the same thing. Now I'm pissed, royally pissed, and they just go through the same thing. Everyone claps, puts their hands down, right? Now they get to make that joke about black people because, people think that black people are always Democrats, right? And they're basically saying there's no black Republicans. But if I were to say that, I would get nailed, right? I mean, I don't know. It's different because it's a comedic thing. And typically, comedy, you get to say a lot of things that you normally wouldn't, regardless of whatever the normal rules are, because there's not really any rules in comedy. But
Well, see, like, see, you're right in that sense. And I give you an example. I don't know how it is for, say, white people, but because he's a minority and he speaks the truth, it's kind of hard to call him a white supremacist when he's black. You know, and the thing is, who I'm referring to is Dave Chappelle. He's said a lot of crazy shit on NSL, I believe,
Saturday Night
and
Live.
I don't remember if it was Saturday Night Live, but or SNL, I
Well,
believe.
that's Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, so he had a script that they were going over with him, and like, you know, he they were rehearsing and everything. And so when he went on stage on live, he literally said, "Screw that script. I'm gonna run my own shit." You know why? Because I get censored. You know, and what he said is that he made a lot of political points with Donald Trump and other stuff that, you know, he was showing the truth about. And, you know, like a lot of people got in an uproar and like they were like, "Yeah, we told you. We told you." You just have to see it. So and watch it, because that is a very powerful tool that they cannot stop, is humor. When you make people laugh, they listen to you more than they would if you were trying to like just talk to them one on one. Like
Yeah,
if
and you can't stop the comedians. You
yeah,
can't.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. You're stopping freedom of speech if you do that, like to a point. Like like
and comedians in particular are excellent communicators because
exactly,
that's their job. So like if you
exactly.
try to
Like
do things to them, they will be loud about it and they'll tell people and they'll be great about the way they deliver their message because that's their whole life basically.
see, but he puts it into his act, his comedy, Dave Chappelle. Like he puts everything, like it's funny, dude. Like it's funny that because when I was watching Dave Chappelle when I was like maybe like 15, 16, around that age, okay, I thought he was hilarious. Like he was amazing. He was like the best comedian, you know, that I could think of. You know, like he would say some landish out stuff, and it would be hilarious. Like, you know, about anybody and you know, anyone. Um, but darn it, I just had a brain fart again, dude.
Did you see the way he spanked Netflix? No, sorry. Comedy Central, the way he spanked Comedy Central.
I forget.
Dude, so basically Comedy Central, I guess, they made an agreement with him and they bought his stuff. And I guess this was before he was quite as famous as he is now. And he still needed Comedy Central. And so he had like I don't remember if it was a TV show or a special or something basically on Comedy Central. And they ripped him off and they didn't give him all the money that, yeah,
Oh
like
yeah,
they
I
ripped him
forget
off
what I was
bad.
thinking about.
Yeah, and
But
so he went to this comedy club somewhere, and I guess they were streamed it to the internet or they recorded it and posted it. And he sits in this club and he just explains to them. And the thing is the thing about being a comedian is like those guys that are that high of a level, even at that level, have to work very hard to have something that is hilarious the whole time, you know?
yeah,
They might work for 2 or 3 years on a set before they go hit the road with it. Dave Chappelle just goes in there and he goes on a riff for like 30 minutes that's both like a whole just explaining exactly how Comedy Central ripped him off. And
I saw. Yeah, man. Yeah, I
yeah,
did see that
and he was
actually.
just
Yeah.
making everybody laugh too at the same time because he was like just roasting Comedy Central so hard. He's like,
See,
and when he ended it, he said, "I'm not asking you to boycott Comedy Central. I'm asking you if you ever laughed at anything I've ever said, if I've ever entertained you, if you appreciate my content and you appreciate me even a little bit, boycott me. Don't watch anything from me on Comedy Central." And people did. And then eventually Comedy Central came and made it right with Dave Chappelle.
damn.
And it was, everyone looked at him like, whoa. Cause like, you know, another thing is like, poor people don't tend to care if a rich person loses money. But somehow everyone loved Dave Chappelle so much. And he was such a good guy. And he was such a good comedian. And he was so good at, you know, making people laugh with his points that everybody was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck Comedy Central. Fuck those guys. It's like, give Dave Chappelle his money. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
dude.
everyone backed him up on that, man. And it's like that. Yeah, Dave Chappelle's a legend, bro. He really is.
See, it's the humor sticks in your head, and whenever he's making points, you remember it better in your memory, like because it was significant, the words and the meaning behind it, because it made you laugh, it made you feel this emotion, and then so I would watch it when I was a little kid and everything like that. And it came to the end of the show where the credits cut and everything. And, then the next episode comes out on Comedy Central. So right before his show ends, I see him without a shirt with chains around his wrist and then money in his hands. Okay. and and I never understood what the hell that meant. I'm like, why do you have that? And then I remember when he came out with the skit with Comedy Central, okay? And then I guess in Hollywood or something like that, they threatened him and they wanted almost to kill him. But then, he had, I forget something. He says all this in his little biography or whatever. He does say this, but at the same time, now I understand that he had money, but he was enchained by, the deal that he made. Like, like to my point, it's like almost selling your soul, because you're crafting these people's minds and like you're shaping how they should think. You're doing more than you actually think to the subconscious when it comes to humor, because it sticks better than it's like trauma, but the opposite of trauma that does it to the brain, if that helps, you know.
I think with comedy and with music, something that's truly good, like something that everyone laughs at or everyone loves that song. Like for me, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Um, there's something true about it. You know, like it doesn't necessarily mean that it's on the surface and it's exactly the point that the comedian's making, but something about the bit is very true, and that's what makes it hilarious. And same thing with music. When I listen to Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin and they get into that guitar solo, it's just I mean, it's music. It's like they don't say anything during the guitar solo. What's so amazing about it? But the sound of it is true. And I don't know how else to explain it. It sounds like some hippie stuff, but like
No, like you can feel that's someone's energy, Jeremiah. That's someone's aura. That's their soul that they put into that music. Like, okay, like check this out. Like check this out. So one day, this was like in seventh grade. Me and my buddy, uh, we all had to go to the cafeteria. We were in school, We all had to go to cafeteria for some event and everything. And these are all our classmates that we all go to school with, but they're all in different classes. We may not know each other, but we know of each other. But at the same time, so there's this one girl that we're like, nah, she's not hot. She's not hot, Okay. So she gets up and she starts singing Selena y los Dinos. Okay. It's a Mexican singer that, came to America. She's beautiful. She's amazing. Indeed. Okay. So as she was singing, we both look at each other like in gasp. And like, dude, she sounds like Selena. And like immediately both of us got like boners, dude. So so, so like from like saying that she wasn't hot, then we were like, dude, she's hot, dude. Like stop, Keela. So like at the same time, because of that energy, like it did something to us because we obviously heard it. So like it can be transferred in the same way of humor, in the same way of love or whatever you want to say, but it sticks like a trauma almost, and it can be positive. And that's what humor is. Like, say, like when people like feel down, what would make you better if you laugh, because it actually releases dopamine and chemicals into your body. And darn it, and this is what I always knew, but I didn't um apply it because it wasn't at mind. So when you're depressed, when you're sad, when you're like in agony and anguish and all that, your body releases serotonin, and it's a chemical that makes you age faster. So if you ever seen somebody who's young and they look old, it means that they've been under a lot of stress, so much stress that their body produces this chemical serotonin, and literally they look 10 times older than they actually are. And I had a friend like this. She was she showed me pictures of her when she was 18 years old, and then she was 26. It was a complete shocker. Like, she was beautiful when she was young. Like, dude, like in 26. But the thing is that she had stress from her father of her child, that they would always argue, and sometimes he would like beat her and not take care of the children. And for fucking 6, 5, 7 years, dude, it looked like she aged almost 15 years. Like, dude, it's crazy what like you don't know about the human body.
Dude,
Like,
it's what's what I've always thought was kind of fucked is like all right, so think about it, the toll that stress takes on a human. So think about the people that maybe aren't so stressed, like rich people. Like, yeah, they're stressed out about making more money, but they're okay, so they're out about making more money, but it's not like I'm afraid that this man's going to hit me, or I'm afraid that I might be living on the street, or how am I going to pay for rent, or why can't Johnny go to a good school? It's just like, I want to make more money. I want to be successful in this endeavor. It's like something they're trying. It's like a positive thing versus a poor person. And so poor people don't live as long as rich people in that way, if you think about it. Like, so that's why it's important to make money, I think.
yeah. So check this out too, and I thought this was ironic because I just found this out maybe like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. So This was when I was working at Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, I had a lot of friends at Cracker Barrel. Okay. And then there's this one guy named Christian. Okay. Christian reminded me a lot of you. All right. And he was a good little Christian boy, he tried to at least, I knew that he was um he worked hard. He had everything in a work ethic that you would want as a worker. And so and it's funny too that he was with Cassandra too. So and then so one day I'm just working and I get a call from my buddy Cole, and he says, do you remember Christian, the shrimper man? The shrimper boy, he would always go on his uncle's shrimping boat and go shrimping and catch all those shrimp. I was like, yeah, I remember Christian. He was a cool dude. I was like, well, he died. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, man. He died from a seizure. Like, what do you mean a seizure? How the fuck did he just die from a seizure? Well, the doctor said that he had a seizure and he went brain dead. And like out of nowhere, like he just died. And like he died and like the day that my buddy called me was the 1 year anniversary of the day that he died. And it's just terrible, dude, because like he left behind a little boy and his wife, and like it just breaks my heart. She's like literally every day since that day posts something on his Facebook saying that I love you, I miss you, we're gonna see you again. I'm like sad that you're not here anymore. I wish you could take care of me and take care of your son. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm just like feeling all this. Like, I can feel like to me, I feel like I can feel people's pain by them sharing their experience. And like, it's just like breaking my heart, man. Like, you just don't know when. And it's just freaking crazy. Like, dude, and let me get to the Cracker Barrel one story. So, and this is where the money comes involved. And so me and him were leaving Cracker Barrel because we got off the truck and nothing else to do. We just leave and go home. And one day we were leaving. We were both leaving together, and we leave Cracker Barrel, and we're walking on the side, and this homeless guy comes up to us, and he says, Can y'all spare any change?" And I actually know this guy because he usually comes around and asks for money, and I give him some money here and there. And he goes, you know, I'm like, what happened to him? I'm saying that in my head because he's bald now. And comes up to him and says, yeah, guys, can I have some money? I'm dying of cancer. So, like, I would really appreciate it if you could just help me out. And, like, I could see this guy deteriorate every time I saw him. So, like, that, like, broke my heart. And, like, so, I gave him, like, $2. So we're leaving, and Christian says, it may suck, it may be sad, but you got to be prepared in life. If you don't have money, then like you kind of might as well not have anything else because that's a prime example of what will happen to you if you don't have money. Is that guy had cancer and he couldn't do nothing about it, man. Regardless of whether he was an addict or whatever, but it was still his responsibility to take care of himself. So like at the same time, like I just remember hearing him say that, and then he just passes away. And I see pictures of him with his little girl or his little boy, and I'm like, dude, I just don't know, man. See, and like I guess like it's just because I want a kid, I guess, So I went on my little rant. So
I I I want kids too. And Jordan Peterson, the clinical psychologist, theorizes that, or I shouldn't say theorizes, because I'm pretty sure he has pretty solid data to back this up, but the adoption of responsibility is what provides meaning in your life. And the more responsibility that you can adopt, the more meaning that you'll have in your life. So, for example, I've started helping my cousin. We talked a lot about that. And
so what happened with the package?
what do you mean?
Did you talk to him about receiving the packages and being awake?
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, he kind of ghosted me a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like I've got to figure out how to walk that line of friend and douchebag that tells you the truth, you know. So because he doesn't have either. He doesn't have a good friend, but he also doesn't have that douchebag telling him the truth. But if I tell him the truth too much and I don't just be his friend, then he kind of like shies away. And then if I'm his friend too often, then he's not going to do anything with himself. So it's like it's so hard. But that's not my point.
Find the
You know,
balance.
but like I was struggling in life, whatever. And then like through the effort of trying to help him, through the effort of being nice, I talked about the liquor shop situation the other day with you. And then, picking up the old guy on the side of the road that is carrying a gas can and has like 6 miles to walk to get back to his car. And he's like 80 years old, you know. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying the adoption of responsibilities or doing things for other people, trying to help, trying to protect, trying to provide, all of that is what gives us meaning in life. That's what makes us feel purpose. That's what gives us reason to go on. So I think that the world would be a happier place, actually, not just because it would be better, but because people would have meaning in their life if men would become men and men would accept responsibility for the role we play in the world and tried to make something of themselves, not even just for themselves, but for everyone that they're surrounded by. Because whenever you better yourself, you inherently better everyone around you. When you get more money and you can help, pay the bills, help your mom work a little less, whatever, you make everyone's lives around you better. When you become fit, you set a good example and show people what they could be. And that might piss off some or whatever, but now they have an example to hold themselves accountable to, like, hey, I need to step it up. You're bringing that positive energy. The more confidence you spread, the more you try to help, the better everything is around you. So the more successful you are, the more you can work on yourself. While it may seem like a selfish endeavor, it can be, but it's also benefiting everyone else around you. I think if we looked at things that way and we looked at, like if you're a man, you have a responsibility to the world and to yourself and to those around you to be everything that you can be. Because when you become the best version of yourself, you contribute the most to the world. If you allow yourself to be a turd, then you're not going to give anything to the world except things that a turd offers a world. Like, do you want, no one wants your shit. People want the best out of you. So that's that's the problem, man, because it just seems like people have been broken. When you see most people, it seems like they've just been, it's almost like they're zombies at a certain point. They just don't
They're
think anymore.
NPCs, man.
Yeah, like that's, yeah, like to put it like Tate says it, they're NPCs. And that's true because it just seems like they've been defeated
They
by
don't
life.
think for themselves, man. They need people to think for them.
But it's weird because he's right. The Matrix really is a good comparison because it's not as if it's not as if like some people are incapable. Everyone's capable of waking up. It's just, do you want to? Are you willing to sacrifice what must be sacrificed if you're to learn the truth? Are those the things that are you willing to do those things? Most people, the answer is no. It'd be much easier to just stick their head in the sand and pretend that everything's okay and everything's as it should be. It's scary to start to think that everything that you believe in that's been established your whole life could be a lie, and that people could be just trying to manipulate you and exploit you for their own benefit. It's not fun to think that. It's a very scary thing to think. Sheila agrees with me. So I don't know, man. Yeah, did you not hear her growling?
Stupid. Stupid. That was me growling.
What?
But yeah, that was me.
Your stomach?
No, I was just thinking a little too hard.
And you went.
No, I was going like, hmm.
No, that's not what happened. I heard a. Ooh. I thought it was
Like,
Sheila.
mm,
But
no.
that's where I'm at, man. And I feel like people are waking up. I feel like people are I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like everyone, I don't know how you can listen to some of the stuff that Andrew Tate's put out and not start to question things a little bit, like and start to kind of snap out of it. Well, because all right, so I don't want to say that Andrew Tate, I don't mean to put him on a pedestal necessarily, but what Andrew Tate has on his side is truth. He has a lot of truths. And when you hear truth, there's no, I mean, you could try to argue it any kind of way, but everyone knows when something is true. And so he's been dropping a lot of truth. And so for anyone that's been watching him,
go ahead. Sorry.
For anyone that's been watching him, how could you not have woken up? Because it's not just truth, it's truth that hasn't been expressed in a very long time, which I think is why he's caught so much attention.
Like, I feel he's one of the first people that you ever heard speak the truth. And, like seen him get backlash for it. And it's just, there's a lot of people like that, but the media censors them and, discredits them, tries to ruin their reputation. So, and they succeed in most times. So, like, I feel like this is just one of the first, people that you just heard and seen that is tangible, to relate to. And Tate puts it in one of the most influential ways, that I've seen, other than Jordan Peterson. But Jordan Peterson doesn't, rock out with his abs out and, have bitches on his yachts.
No, well, yeah, Jordan
No.
Peterson is just as much a rock star as
No,
Andrew Tate has been.
he is.
But like you're saying, they deliver it in different ways because they're just different people. They live different lifestyles. Yeah.
So, like, it's just, I want to have an opinion. That's just, I guess, another goal to strive for.
What do you mean by that?
to have an opinion, you have to have like lots of money.
Well, you
You
can
have
have an
to,
opinion now as a poor
well,
person.
yeah, of course, but that's like screaming throughout the masses. No one's hearing you. Like, see, when you have money, you're on stage, I feel,
Your
or you
opinion
go up.
matters. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, cause like right now, it like it means diddly squat to nothing. So like when people get money, they get influence. When you have a lot of influence, you have followers. You have people that will follow you, just like Dave Chappelle. You have power. That's power to them, and they don't want that. They don't want anything like. And another saying that I like. My grandfather had it on his bumper sticker. I think I told you this before, but it said, "Don't steal. The government doesn't like competition." So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Another thing Tate says is that the government's the only people that are allowed to break the rules.
Yeah, basically.
I think that's what he said. Or they're the only ones allowed to commit crimes. Yeah, I think that was it. The government's the only one that's allowed to commit crimes. And it's true, because if you think about it, police officer can do a lot of things that you can't. You can't just go put cuffs on someone or tase them for not doing what you say, or shoot them, or whatever. If you do any of the things that a police officer does, if you put them in your car, lock them up, put them in your car, and take them to your house, like you'd go to jail. We don't. Police officers now, obviously, in context, it makes sense why a police officer has those abilities. All right, but if, for example, we were to loan, like we were talking about loaning people money, if we were to loan someone money and they didn't pay us back, we wouldn't be allowed to put them in prison. We could just sue them, maybe, or try to garnish their wages or hurt their credit. But that's all we could do. If, however, you don't pay your taxes, you can go to jail. So, what's the difference, right? Like, the government's basically saying you owe us money, give us money, or you're going to be locked into
Well,
this room.
see, supposedly there's people that never filed a tax return and they don't go to jail because they say, where in the law does it say that, we have to pay taxes? It doesn't say that. The thing is, it was made by bankers in the Federal Reserve on 1913. Made by bankers, not politicians, and it was signed into law. So,
Well, like, the government, I don't believe, can audit your tax return after 7 years. So I didn't file in 2017, I think, or something. And I would have, but it's not because I didn't want to. It's because, like, I was a dumb, 19-year-old retard in Indiana. And I had worked, like, I think like 5 or 6 different, you remember how I was back then. I think I worked 5 or 6 different jobs that year.
yeah.
And some of them were like independent contractor jobs. So there was like special taxes on them. And then I lost all the paperwork and I never got all the W-2s and all that stuff. And then, like, a year passed and, like, I couldn't, some of those businesses I'd worked for were like out of business, or I couldn't get in contact with to get my tax info. So I just never filed that year. And 5 years go by and I was talking to my dad and he was like, yeah, man, like, I wouldn't worry about it because, honestly, they have much bigger fish to fry. I mean, how much do you think you earned? Like 25,000 or 30,000 the whole year?
Yeah, right.
It's like, what, you think they're really worried about the $400 you owe or whatever? Like, no, they're going to be going after the big fish that have millions upon millions, stuff like that. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. He's like, so I'd say just let it roll around for another couple years and you're probably good. And so, I think that's probably what happened with some of these people that never filed. They're just a bunch of dumb broke retards that like weren't really, they're not, the government doesn't care anyways because they're going to get a whole whopping like $1,000. But if Donald Trump thinks about trying not to file his taxes, you could bet your ass that, he's going to get held up. So, but speaking of business, I was asking my dad some questions. Do you want me to go through them with you?
Yeah, I got 3% on my phone, so if you want to run
Oh.
by it real fast.
Okay. I'll be on Xbox if you go. Don't you have
No,
a
it's not. It's not
charger?
even like that. Yeah, but it only works when I set it down. It's weird.
Okay, well, all right. I said USAA doesn't do bank accounts for businesses. Any recommendations on one that does? And he said, not really. You should use a national bank, though. We use Regions Bank, but they will want a significant balance kept in the account to avoid high bank fees, as will any national bank. I'm talking 1,000 to 10,000, depending on the amount. By the way, we use, and I won't say the name, because they have them here and where we formerly lived. He said, so look for someone who has a bank here and in Corpus Christi if it's with your friend. And so, okay, so we're looking at that. You need your corporation documents first, though. Also be aware someone will have to file your corporate taxes, which you will have to hire someone for. I wouldn't do anything until after January 1st, so you don't have to file anything tax-wise until March 2024. Also, if you use an online place to get your corporation set up, have them get you a FEIN, same as EIN. And I said, okay, that's useful to know. Do you think it might be best to low-key run it out of our bank, our personal bank, until we start generating profit and have the money to let 10,000 sit in an account? And his response was basically no. It's not worth it. You should, definitely get the business bank account because it'll just make things right for y'all and you won't have to worry about it. And I said, also, I know we've spoken about this, but do you have a general rule of thumb once you start taking the money from a company, how much that'll be? For example, should we incorporate a policy between me and Efrain that we only take 10% of the earnings? And he said, no, it really just depends on the business, how much overhead you have. He's like, you guys are going to have a really overhead heavy business. So you might have to skim a little less of a percent off the top than, say, like an engineering firm where we just have computers and that's pretty much it, just electric bills. He's like, and you guys are just going to have to figure that out. And he said that he would look at it on a quarterly basis, not a yearly basis. So we should look at it every quarter and decide, how much can we take and things like that. And all right, so I said, also, how much are you saving on those mowers you got from the auction? He said he didn't get those from the auction. It came with the property. And I was saying, because I'm debating if we should buy them used from auctions versus buying them new because we need reliable equipment. I said, also, we're considering starting up like a Monday morning podcast or something for the business where we just talk about the company, Corpus Christi, dumb stories from dudes out in the field, funny stuff, but use it as a way to advertise for free. Maybe even dedicate part of the budget for marketing the podcast on YouTube specifically in Corpus Christi. And he was saying, yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. There's a lot of companies that do that already. He's like, there's like a fishing company that does it and it's just them out on the boat doing fishing stuff. And like, it's just a fun show. And he's like, yeah, but they want your business. And I said, I know it might sound dumb, but I think that might be a solid free way to generate leads. If you had a group of dudes that had a fun, friendly podcast to listen to that cuts grass in your city, wouldn't you want to hire them? And he was like, yeah, I agree. And I said, and then of course, like if this podcast ever caught traction, I could promote the business on here. Because like I see podcasts all the time promoting people that pay them money to. Well, we could just promote our own business here. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And so that was some of the messages between me and him. I just wanted to get you up to speed on that.
Nice.
We need to talk about the name. But anyways, your battery's pretty low, so I
It's
guess
like
we
at
should.
2%.
Yeah, I guess we should probably wrap it up. So, anyways,
Yeah,
this was fun. I like this, man. We should do it again tomorrow. This was
yeah.
this was chill, bro.
Good to have Bloody on too.
Yeah, that was nice. So
So,
I'll see you in a minute. I'll go hop on Xbox.
all right, brother man.
All right. See ya.
All right.